Saturday, twilight footy at the MCG. Where would you rather be on Easter weekend? It's almost a prime time slot. I love twilight footy. I don't know, there's something about it. You get there during the day, it doesn't end too late. You watch the sun come down. It's picturesque almost, and especially at the MCG where we play our best football, our home ground, against the Dogs who notoriously play good footy at Marvel, but not as much everywhere else. So there's a bit to unpack with this game here. Obviously a must win for us. I don't think I need to accentuate too much how important this game really is for us. With the draw in round one, it's really set us back a little bit. A disappointing performance last week against the Pies, but onwards and upwards from here, and just this will really just put our season back on track a little bit. Not that we've derailed, but a win here really helps, or helps massively, I think, and it gives us confidence as well going forward. So I'll get into our opponent a little bit. We've got the Western Bulldogs. Obviously, they've only won the one game for the year, and they were pumped in the other two. So there was a lot of people predicting they'd be a pretty good side this year, and now with two games in a row, I think round one, round two, they got pumped by 50 plus or 50 respectively. So big margins, and they beat Brisbane last week. But in saying that, it was Brisbane at Marvel. So Brisbane don't play well away from home. We all know that. So they beat Brisbane at Marvel. Still a good side. So they're still, you can only beat who's in front of you, and it doesn't matter if it's home or away. So still a good win for the Dogs. I'll take it away, but I still think you can take a lot into the fact that they did get belted in round one and round two, and maybe against some better sides or some sides that play on larger grounds like the MCG, they might not be as damaging. So a bit to look at there. They haven't scored more than, I think, 67 points for this season, which is, I think, 10 goals they kicked against the against Brisbane, sorry. They kicked 10 goals, and that's the most they've kicked all year. I know it's only been 3 games, but they're very low margin. 67 points is a very low margin, and I don't know about you guys, but I thought the last 3 weeks, especially last week against the Pies, when we got peppered, our backline held up really strong, and we've been really good. Noah Bolter's playing his best footy he has in a couple of years. Grimes still looks pretty good. Liam Baker, we all know what he's doing. Obviously, we're missing Short and Broad still, so they'll be missed. But we've got some really good movement and intercepting happening in our backline. Nick Vlaston, is as good as he's ever been. He's fantastic. Tyler Young stepped up really well into that role. So we've got a lot of options, and we're playing some good footy down back. So if you ask me, they're not scoring high. We're defending well. It just seems like a perfect matchup for our backline in that sense. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that pans out on the night. Their midfield is obviously what's really damaging. We've seen it before where they've had almost too many midfielders. They've gotten rid of, obviously, Dunkley, and I think they're probably better well-rounded now in the midfield. But I think with the inclusions of Sonzi, who had 37 in the VFL last week, he's going to be a star. Jacob Hopper and Dustin Martin coming into the team, that really steadies our midfield a little bit more and puts us in good stead coming up against the Bulldogs, who have a really strong midfield. So I think we can hold our own in that sense. And then you go to our forward line, and geez, it's our connection inside 50 that I think is really hurting us at the moment. We're just not clicking. It's just, whatever it is, it's just not quite happening yet for us. But I think once we can, master that inside 50 ball use and just start hitting targets, and that connection just starts to work, I think we're going to be very hard to stop up forward as well. I mean, I know Jack won't be playing this week as he's been managed, but you've obviously got some stars. Cumberland will start this week, which I think needed to happen. Lynch has got every chance to rip this game open. I mean, he's been threatening, and he just hasn't quite done that yet. But I think, if we can actually hit him up, I think he'll be able to do that. And I think our fast ball movement will need to come into play there. So hopefully our wingmen and blokes like Daniel Rioli can get a lot of pace and out of the middle of the ground and just launch it in there and give Lynch a chance, especially if he's one-on-one down there. So Dustin Martin's going to cause another threat in the forward line, as we all know. So I think we've got some pretty good options. I think the Bulldogs' 3 talls in the forward line hasn't necessarily been working. I know Jamara had a really good game against the Lions, and Norton's dangerous at the best of times. So with the targets down there that they have, we need to look out for. But I'm not sure if the 3 forwards have really worked for them, because if you think about it, kicking a maximum of 10 goals in the first 3 rounds with the 3 talls you've got down there, and Jamara, Norton, you got Lob down there, Darcy goes down there occasionally. So you've got like 3 or 4 massive options down there, and they don't seem to be working overly well. It's not to say it won't on Saturday or tomorrow, but who knows? Hopefully we can take advantage of them down there. In terms of our ins and outs, as I mentioned, we have Dusty, Hopper, and Sonzi all coming into the side. And then going out, you've got Jack Ross, who was omitted. I thought he had a really good game against Collingwood. I thought he's a bit stiff. But obviously with Hopper and Martin and Sonzi, Sonzi put his hand up. He had 37 touches in the VFL. How do you not pick him? So I understand where that's come in. Morris Rioli was omitted as well, which it's disappointing because I love Morris and I want him in the side just about every week. But I think his tackle count had been down. I'm pretty sure he's only kicked 1 goal for the year. I could be wrong, so don't jump in the comments and roast me for that. But he hasn't kicked many goals this year. And as a small forward, you kind of want that to be happening. So I understand that one. Hopefully, it takes a week or two and he's back in the side. And then famously, as you all know, we've managed or rested Cochin and Rewalt, which is interesting because it's almost like a changing of the guard type moment where these guys are starting to get rested. And yeah, I'm hoping that the reason we're doing this is so they've got better longevity going towards the back end of the season. And when we're hopefully playing finals and playing good football, you want these guys in the side. So I'm hoping that's the reason and not as much of a changing of the guard type setup. But who knows? It's going to be interesting going forward in the next few weeks to see how we're shaping up. I don't know if you guys saw in the way as well. Luke Bevo, I think we've surprised him a little bit because I think during the week, he's planning for guys like Morris and Jack and Cochin. Maybe not Cochin as much, but you'd think Jack and Morris especially, you'd be planning for blokes like this because they're so dynamic and diverse in the way that they can go about their footy. And now they're out of the side. It's throwing a spanner in the works for him. And who knows, hopefully he doesn't have something to combat someone like a Cumberland or Sonzi, who's just so clean with the football. His ball use is amazing. And I think, I'm saying it now, this weekend, Sonzi's ball use is going to really help us going inside forward 50 because he's very clean with the ball. And I think we're going to need that, especially if we want to score heavily against the Bulldogs, which I think we're every chance to. Shea Bolton will hopefully spend more time in the midfield this week. I thought he was good last week. Not exceptional, but I thought he just found a bit more of the football. And I think he needs to do that because if he's not getting that footy up forward, he goes quiet. He can go missing quite easily. So I think you put him in the midfield, you inject him in there, he finds the ball, gets a bit of confidence, then you can slip him back up forward and let him do his thing where he gets magic and kicks goals. We saw last year against the Dogs and he kicked arguably what should have been goal of the year. So maybe it was, I really can't remember, but it was up there. I know it was up there in the final vote. So anyway, big game tomorrow. I've left the preview video late, so I apologise for that. I did go down to the open training session today. I don't know if any of you were there. If you were, let me know. What did you think? Obviously, it wasn't much of a training session. It was more of them just mucking around, having shots on goal, set shots. I did 1 or 2 drills, but nothing too much. Hopper, Nank, Jack Graham, and Tom Lynch all were separate from the main group. They didn't look injured. They just, I don't know, maybe being a little bit managed. No point pushing them the day before a game. I'm not quite sure what that was, but they weren't with the main group, and the rest of them were sort of mucking around, taking shots on goal and all that, and yeah, so it was good. Look, it was good to see them down there. It was good to get the Tiger Army out and about in Richmond today, but tomorrow's where it's all at. So if you're not going or you're not sure, definitely try and head down. It's going to be a great occasion. Easter weekend, Saturday, Twilight, MCG. We don't get the Dogs at the G too often. I feel like we always end up playing them at Marvel, and that's where they play their best footy. So we've got them at the G, our home turf. We can use that big ground against them, and hopefully we can get a good win and get our season back on the right path that we're sort of hoping to be on. So that's pretty much it until the Bulldogs review video. Go Tigers, and I hope to see you at the game.